So basically these three circles I have, you see it, people can hear me still, right? You can hear me. So these three circles, the red one, you see, this is, I was talking, the people who live in autopilot mode, that, life on just keep on going and believing what you are. And this is like called like a stress zone. And the green zone is like potential zone, what is possible for us and how we can just make sure that we continuously improve ourselves and be the best version of ourselves. And the blue zone is the environment, basically, how we can give back and in the best possible manner. So this is another one I have. You see that, stress zone, you learn a lot about. So the next session will be all about the science of the brain and how our, they cannot see it?
Yeah, click present.
We see your slides.
But you see a slide. They're able to see the slide.
Yeah, okay.
So if you see that, that we basically, we want to be on the potential zone, the green zone, and then the giving back is the environment. So the first session is mostly about how to learn the relationship of neuroscience with leadership and behavior. And lot will talk about stress and the management of stress. People have a lot of stress these days, and how the science is trying to explain how to mitigate those stress. And and then the next session will be the ABC of leadership, which is what is potential for us, like how we can be the best leaders. And these are the things: the A, attention; B is belief; and C is commitment. And then the environment. And that I said, the third one is how do we give back? And there are two types of environment I speak. The environments to thrive or demise. And we want to be in a thriving environment. So by saying that, we'll wait and see what people have, some comments or questions or concerns or some insights. And then in a few minutes, we'll start the first session, inshallah. Everybody's quiet. We'll see who else has joined us. And Meher, I want to see, please introduce yourself if possible.
Sure. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name's Meher, and I am doing a transition from another field into healthcare. So I come from the corporate or the business environment, and the leadership area is actually one of the things of my interest, regardless of which the field I'm in. And so now I'm transitioning from corporate into healthcare, and I think it's, what you spoke about is really something that we have to pay attention to, because we do live our lives on autopilot, and we get into this certain routine, and we are so focused on escaping the life that we've created for ourselves that we don't even realize what's happening and how and where we spend our time. So I'm definitely looking forward to our session today.
Okay, looking forward, and everybody, please feel free to share your insights and ideas while we continue the program. So having said that, my daughter just joined. Assalamu alaikum, Sharia.
Walaikum salam. Sorry, I'm in the car.
And, mashallah. So she helped me with the slides. Mashallah, I have a great daughter. She just started her second semester, and first semester she did so well. And so hopefully this semester, everything is online. She's studying from home and very busy, but learned a lot of cooking skills in the last semester. Every time she's trying so many different things. So yesterday they had a little surprise party for me. So with this, I want to start with the next session or next part, which is basically mostly how we deal or understand the role of neuroscience and behavior, and see what leaders need to know about this aspect and what they can learn about it. So I want to see that the brain, I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm not a neurologist, and simple in a way that everybody can understand. Some people are non-medical on the program as well. You see, I call it like a thinking brain and emotional and social brain. And thinking brain is the main focus. It's called prefrontal cortex, which is the executive, does the executive functions of the brain: decision making, memory, math skills, logic, and thinking. It's mostly done by the prefrontal cortex. And there's an emotional brain, which is the amygdala and limbic system, and it's like highly connected. Our feelings and emotions are connected with that our rational brain, which is thinking brain, I call it. And so, as I said earlier, the primary role of the brain is to create a safe environment for the body. That's why we love our comfort zone. We don't want to do anything. Sometimes we feel so lazy, and and then of course you give yourself a lot of reason not to do things. And so how brain reacts and does when you're under stress. And a lot of people are under stress these days, and because of pandemics, a lot of people have health issues, and a lot of people passed away, unfortunately. And you see a lot of job loss, and all this sense of insecurity is very threatening to the brain. And later on, you will learn that as a leader, you want to be in a reward zone. So there are two types of zone here. Threat zone, stress will cause you and put you in a threat zone. And when you are relaxed, when you are happy, you are in a reward zone. So basically, this is the job of a leader, to put their employees, to put their subordinates and whoever follows them to be in a reward state. Then they can do their best in that state. And but sometimes our mind also get into the mode that we just don't know how to handle the stress. And because if you have a fixed mindset, if you're not open to learn or getting ideas from other people, you may not change, and the resistance gets very hard for mind to overcome. And you see, when you are under stress or when you are in threat mode, how do your brain respond to that? Because your sympathetic nervous system gets very activated, and your cortisol and catecholamines are high, and when you're under stress, and you see the response of that in the body, that sometime your thinking brain, which I said, prefrontal cortex, cannot even, you just don't make sense. And you ask yourself, I don't know what I said. I was not myself. I was upset. And this is how people get when they're in the threat zone. And we learned from the past that how, this body's fight and flight response is there to protect the body. But now we have different kinds of threat. We don't have threat to just worry about, the tiger's going to come and eat us, or, we don't have to worry much about shelter, or, we feel safe from that standpoint. For physical well-being is good, but we feel uncomfortable and not safe when there is an emotional threat, when there is a psychological threat. And these threats are as common and as popular as the physical threats which we undergo, which we see most of the time. And the brain responds exactly the same way, that you're very much hyperactive, and that's why people get so stressed, and then they don't know what to do. They just give up and just go along with what everybody else is doing, because they don't want to think. And at the end of the day, they feel very tired and exhausted, because they think that because you're always on the go, and then you find that, I haven't accomplished much during the day, but I feel that I'm very tired and I don't know what happened to me. So the opposite of sympathetic nervous system is parasympathetic nervous system. So whenever you are in that threat state, whenever you are in a stressful state, sometimes it's better. How do you make transition from that emotional side to your rational side? You basically, they said, start counting backward, because you want to engage your the thinking brain now. When you engage your thinking brain, you have to pay attention. When you pay attention, you forget about your stress, you forget about your anger, and you feel relaxed. See, if you start counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then because you're back to your senses. So this is one way of eliminating stress. And Daniel Goleman, he's a pioneer and the person who kind of like started the ideology of emotional intelligence. And most of you probably hear about that the IQ and the EQ. And he mentioned that the best thing somebody can do under stress, if you want to quickly relieve yourself from the stress, one thing I said, count backward or do some activity or counting, or just try to re-engage your thinking brain so your emotional brain, it will be shut down and you start focusing, you start paying attention again. And he said another technique he recommends that you basically take 6 deep breaths. You take 6 deep breaths, and when you do that, you're back to your senses, and you're back to your normal selves. Some people say they can't hear me well. Is that right? Or shall I just go up on my volume? I'm sorry. How people can hear me well now? Hello?
You're fine. You're fine.
Okay, great. So I was talking that when you take those 6 deep breaths and you basically calm yourself down, and you realize that things starting to change for you. So this is one way of mitigating stress. And there are several ways. And please, in the discussion, I want to hear your point of view of how people are utilizing their skills and how they're managing tough and difficult and challenging situation, and how they are coping with the stress. And I want to see what's your strategy. And other things, so meditation is also a key. Meditation, when you meditate, what happens, your emotional brain, your amygdala, sometimes they say the amygdala gets so much stimulated, it's called amygdala hijack. So basically, when you're so upset and you're so stressed out about something, you don't think right, and then you got amygdala hijack. And in order for you to come back to your senses, some of the techniques I mentioned, but continuously and doing meditation, mindfulness meditation is very effective to calm your emotional brain, to calm your the limbic system and amygdala. And you see from the people who does meditate constantly and regularly, like they've done the fMRI of the monks who does meditate for very, very, very long time, and they looked at their brain, and they see that they're like so relaxed and they don't get so stimulated and so active. And there are 3 ways when the brain gets active. They looked at the brain that before any threat, their brain is calm. During the threat, the brain gets hyperactive as expected, but after the threat, it comes down quickly. So they have very much control for the time when before and after. During, they get stimulated, but after that, it calms down. Compared to the other group, which was like regular people who were not trained for meditation, when they looked at their, before the stressor, before the threat, their brain was very hyperactive. So they basically are anticipating that stress and problem and pain, and it gets very much stimulated. And same thing, during the act of stress is highly active. And also after the event, after the stressful event, it takes long time for them to come back to the normal state. So it tells us the meditation help, and mindfulness meditation, staying in the present moment, and taking deep breaths and all these things. Where is Fatma? Is she on the thing? She's expert on that. Hopefully she'll join us soon. My wife can tell her, so maybe wake her up. She was very excited to join the program. So, so these are some of the techniques to learn how do you meditate and how do you basically come up with the strategies of stress. And now I'm going to briefly mention about some of the habits, like how the habits work. We are the creature of habits, right? We wake up in the morning, we have our routines, we go to the bathroom, take shower, brushing, dressing, driving to work. We basically are on autopilot mode. Sometimes we don't even realize how to get to work because it's part of your subconscious and you don't even have to think. So basically you realize that some of the action which you do, it become part of your subconscious brain, and your thinking brain is free. At that time, you can just do other things. That's how we can do sometime call or text while we're driving, because we are familiar with the roads and everything. But whenever we are in a situation when you're lost or you want to find a way which you don't know, at that time you want to bring back your attention. You need your focus because brain cannot multitask and only can function and pay attention on one subject. So this is how our habits are created. And we realize that we have a lot of these habits. Some of them are desirable, some of them are not great habits. We want to change those habits, and we will learn how do you change, and how do you learn the techniques to overcome the bad habits and learn the good habits. So and we want to make those good habits part of our subconsciousness. And later on, I'll show the slides. So basically, I want to speak for some time, and then I'll go around with the slides. The slides will basically review what we said. As I said, the brain works on after interactive conversation and with reviewing and repetition, hopefully, and then hopefully your participation will help to strengthen the ideas in your mind, and inshallah, later on when you go back to your life and you'll remember some of these things and you'll be able to act on those. So some of the things about habit creation and how do we establish good habits and how do you get rid of bad habits. And James Clear wrote a book called Atomic Habit, and some people liked his ideas, and I think some of the takeaway from that, he talks about a habit loop. He said, if you want to generate a good habit, so there are three part of the loop, which is the stimulus or the cue. And then the second part is routine. You do an act. And the third part is reward. So he said, let's see, you want to maintain or create a habit of learning or going to gym or exercise. You want to create that habit with you, but you don't know how to handle this and how to do that. So you have to prepare for that. You have to make sure, you know, your clothes are in front of you, which you want to go out for workout, or like, you know, your sneakers and your things which you need to get up and set a clock and time to wake up in the morning, and then you're ready to go to work, to exercise. And so routine is the time when you go out and work out. And the reward state, the third state, comes after you're done with your workout. You feel that you accomplished something, you feel good about yourself, that you didn't procrastinate. We learn about the procrastination shortly, you'll realize. And same way, if you want to get rid of a habit, I mean, you don't want to eat junk food, you want to eat healthy. And where's Sheila? I think she'll join. She's a nurse, work at the hospital with me. And we talk about, like, you know, this New Year resolutions, and they work at night and they order food all the time, and they say, okay, I don't know what to do. I say, okay, come to my session. Maybe, you know, we can learn collectively about get rid of the old habits or the bad habits and learn about good habits. So when we learning about like how to get rid of bad habits, I say, okay, don't have junk food or the food which you don't want in front of you, and keep it away. So because if you don't see it, so you won't act on it. So the cue is like make those things invisible which you don't want to do, and make those things visible which you want to do. If you want to establish a habit, keep everything in front of you. So one of my teacher, Ustad Amjad, when he mentioned about these habits, he introduced that concept to the community. He said he has his bike in the living room or the family room. So he comes down and see his bike is there. So it's a queue in front of him. And then, so then he has to go out and work and go out and take his bike out. So this is the stimuli for him to do it. Same way, so we have to see whatever habits we want to generate. We create by understanding this habit loop, how we come up with that, and what we can do to establish good habits and get rid of the undesirable habits. And also, procrastination is very common. That sometimes we're staying on the sofa and don't want to do anything, and you want to give yourself reason not to do it, right? You say, oh, I'm tired and I had a long day, and a lot of reason not to do the undesirable thing, or you stretch or push for yourself. You have to get up, it's cold outside, and you don't want to go exercise and thing which you want to do. So all these thoughts are going on in your head at that time. And then you have to realize that there's a price you pay for procrastination. There's no doubt in my mind. And what is the price? If you continue to procrastinate and don't pay attention and don't do the tasks and things which you want to do, what will happen? You will start loving your comfort zone. It'll be difficult for you to change, because change is the way to go. Everybody undergoing change, and we've seen the big change in the entire world. If you're not prepared and ready to undergo those changes, it'll be very difficult for you. So slowly you'll become like a fixed mindset. Your lifestyle will be very narrow because you're afraid, and fear kicks in every time when you are in that comfort zone. And if you want to do something differently, so this is the price we pay if we procrastinate all the time. And on the other hand, if we push ourselves and make ourselves do the action and thing which we want to do, there is a reward for that. And you feel confident, you feel better when you overcome your challenge, overcome your procrastination, overcome that habit or the thing which you don't want to do. So this is how, and that confidence actually, that action which you take will build the confidence. That's what they said. How do you gain confidence in yourself, in your ability, is basically by taking actions. Action cures fears, they said. When you take action, it actually slowly, you get used to, then you start believing in yourself. Yes, I think I can do it. It wasn't as bad as I thought. So these are the things going on, and this is the process in your mind. You have to realize the price you pay if you do not work on your procrastination, if you not keep on going all the time, or see if you how you handle your procrastination. So I come up with 3 steps of handling procrastination. These are versus the internal dialogues which were going on in our mind. So the 3 steps of procrastination, I call it, the first step is basically you have to make a decision in your mind. You have to have that decision and make that decision from no to yes. So that's the first step. Because remember, if you said yes to your procrastination habit, if you said yes and don't do what you want to do, you will pay a price. You will feel guilty about what you've done. You didn't go and do along with the chore and action you wanted to do. So the first decision is, and that's the hardest part of the whole process. Once you overcome that and you come from no to yes, then the second step. Second step is do some preparation before the action. So now, because you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable to do the act, which you didn't want to do it, but now you're in the yes mode. You have to do it. Something towards your action, towards your habit. Doesn't have to be perfect. And so prepare yourself. Second step is preparation. What do I mean by preparation? That you do something, maybe do something pleasant to yourself, like have a coffee or tea or something to eat, or go out for a walk, or take a shower, freshen yourself so you feel better. Because you just made a decision that you're going to do something uncomfortable, so you are preparing yourself. And the third step is go ahead and take a tiny step towards your action, or complete the whole task. And you will realize that, by doing that, uh, once you overcome the first step, the second and third step gets easy. It's always a struggle for the initial part. And then later on, most of the time, you'll end up, if you wanted to go for a walk or exercise, you'll be able to do it. But sometimes you realize the mind and this New Year goal, people have, oh, I'm going to just go to gym every single day, work out for an hour and 5 days or 7 days a week. That's too much stress for the brain because you're not used to that. That habit is not built in your subconscious. You will not be able to go through it. You'll be able to push yourself for a few days, but later on, your willpower is not strong. Initially that's what the role of willpower is, that you're able to go through the process for the first few days and you're pushing and pushing and pushing. But later on, it's not a way to do it in the long run. So take tiny steps. One push-up a day. There's a guy who wrote Tiny Habits. He said, one push-up a day. He said, that's it. That's not stressful for the brain, doesn't challenge you, and it's easy to do it. And then he said, eventually, you will be able to do more. Because once you're in that process, you realize that you didn't say no, but you're able to do it. And then this is how you conquer your procrastination. So I'm going to stop now.